Hi Frequent Flower subscribers, it's Sarah Lobu with Main Street Florist in Carlinville with another tutorial of how to design with your flowers this month. So we are in the month of December and we're going to be working with assorted evergreen, white alstroemeria, green trix Dianthus, and also white statice. So funny enough about this month, Christmas is a hard month to decorate for in a universal way, or at least if we're providing you guys flowers in your homes. We don't know. We know what some of you guys have decorated in your homes, but not all of you. I'm sure some of you are traditional red and green. Some of you are golds and whites. Some of you might be blues and whites. And so it's really hard to choose what flowers to send to you. Originally, we had planned on it being whites and greens and reds. Well, our ruby red flowers that came in a little purple. And if there's one color I'm probably not gonna send that's gonna make all of you happy for Christmas, it's going to be purple. So we skipped the purple, made a few subs, made a few alterations, and we're gonna stick to neutrals. We're gonna stick to the greens and the whites. And then if you wanna add a pop of color with your arrangement at home with ribbon, or maybe you've got some colorful picks that match your decor, that's a perfect way to do it. So today I'm gonna show you kind of a different technique that you probably have not done at home. You may not have all of these tools at home. If you want something from us, holler, we can always help you, but you could also make a quick trip to the hardware store, or it might be something you have laying around in your garage. So what I'm working with today, I have got this is an antique brass vessel, and it's a big wide vessel. We've talked before about how there's different grids that you can purchase, or maybe you've got here through us when arranging these wide mouth vases, but what we're gonna do is actually create a mechanic inside that's going to be hidden, that's gonna help keep our flowers in place. So what we're using is a little bit of chicken wire. So we buy just the big, rolls of chicken wire from Rural King or a farm store or Ace Hardware or wherever. But if you've got just a little patch of this, it'll do. And what you're gonna do is just fold the chicken wire to make a little egg or a little nest or a little ball, whatever you wanna call it, that is basically going to fit kind of snug in your container, that it's not going to float up when your vessel's filled with water. But it's gonna create a grid for our stems to go into and hold things in place since we have this larger mouth vessel. So we're gonna start our arrangement with our evergreen. Like I said, you have an assortment. What I am working with right now, I have got some white pine, I've got some cedar, and then my personal favorite, I've got magnolia. So these are just magnolia leaves. I love kind of the tobacco color of the backside of the leaves and then the green on the front. A lot of fun. So we're gonna start with our evergreen. You are gonna be able to break these apart into smaller pieces. So you can just trim off some of these longer laterals. I've got one long branch here. I'm gonna cut it right in the middle. Take off any of those lower laterals that might fall below the water line, and then start crisscrossing them into my vase. Even though we've got this grid with our chicken wire in there, you're still gonna crisscross into it. It's just gonna help keep it in place better. So you can see already with just that one stem of cedar, we've really covered a lot of our container. Now we're gonna go in with our white pine. Again, you can cut these apart. I love the textures of just different evergreen together. Same with our magnolia. I'm going to leave one a little long that's going to be kind of height in the center. And then my other one, I might cut apart a little bit more. I'm gonna go right there with that guy. And then take this one off to the side. Honestly, for me, I could just add in some pine cones in this evergreen and be pretty content with this. This is gonna be a long-lasting container. One thing to keep in mind with any arrangement that you have at home with evergreen is that evergreen is a heavy drinker. So make sure that you continue to add water to your container each day. Even if it's an arrangement that you've received from us in flower foam, you can continue to put water on top of that flower foam to help your evergreen and your greenery last a little bit longer. So we've got our tricks, we've got our alstro, and we've got our statice. So I think I'm gonna use our tricks. So these are in the carnation family. Dianthus is another word for them. So they will actually, this is kind of an immature state of them. If they, Sweet William or other bloom Dianthus, sometimes you'll see blooms on them. This is before it blooms, it has this green fluff. And growers realized it was sort of interested and started just growing it so that it would be mature at this stage. These are super, super long lasting. I'm just going to work them around my container, kind of in with my evergreen, but because they've got more of this fluffy texture, they're still going to stand out. I'm working with our 10 stem recipe. So with the 10 stem recipe, I've got 5 of these tricks. I've got 2 alstro and then 3 of the statice. And if you've got a larger subscription, your counts will be slightly different. So I've got my tricks all the way around my container. And then next, I think I'm gonna go in with my statice because I want these alstro to kind of shine even though there's only 2 stems. So I don't wanna bury them in too early. So statice is fantastic because again, it's long lasting. All of these flowers, I would not be shocked if they are still on your table come New Year's, which again is where those neutral colors are gonna come in nicely. But statice will dry and look pretty much the same as it does right now. And I am just working around my vase and placing that statice in wherever I see fit, or I just want a pop of that white. Oh, I still have a little bit more. All right, now we've got our alstroemeria. If you have sensitive skin, this may be a good one to wear gloves with. It usually doesn't cause any sort of major reaction, but sometimes can make the inside of your hands feel a little itchy if you are handling the foliage on alstroemeria. I like to take all of the leaves off, not just the lower ones, but even sort of these ones where the laterals meet the main stem, just because the blooms on alstroemeria are so long lasting. Those blooms are still gonna look great and your leaves are gonna start to look a little sad. So I like to just get ahead of the game, go ahead and remove those leaves now and I don't have to worry about it. I'm gonna go a little taller with these. Maybe not that tall. My vase is so full, I'm already having a hard time finding a spot. Okay, so we've got our alstroe on there. Last step, you guys got some pine cones this month and you got some wire. So I'm gonna teach you how you're gonna wire a pine cone to place into your arrangement. So we have these 18-inch long pieces of wire. What I like to do is take the bottom of the pine cone, the widest part, sometimes when they're skinnier like this, but what, where the stem would be. And I go right around the bottom, fold it in half. If you we're giving you wire, but if you didn't have wire, you could also use like a pipe cleaner to do a similar thing. So you're gonna try to get that wire down into and around as close as possible. And then you're just gonna give it a little bit of a twist so that it has a stem. We'll do that one more time. We'll do it on a skinny one. So go to your bottom, kind of hook it between, I don't know, like the second or third row. And then give it a good twist. And you got a little stem. You could certainly just place these, you could just rest them on top. Sometimes by giving them a stem, we're guaranteeing their placement into the arrangement, that they're gonna stay put where we want them. So usually you can put this directly in with these 2 wires. I like to take my tails, just fold them up a little bit. Sometimes when I'm working in floral foam or sticking these into floral foam, same thing. I bend them so there's just a little bit more mechanics to grip into the foam. If you just put the wire straight in, it'll often spin and want to move around on you. So now we can just drop our pine cones into our arrangement. This guy to be a little taller. But there we go. There is your neutral winter holiday centerpiece that you can make at home. And keep in mind, like I use this low vessel, you probably have Christmas containers or little tchotchkes and knickknacks around the house that might make a perfect container. So think outside the box, look around and see what might be just the perfect vessel for your flowers this month. If you have any questions, you know where to find us. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you have a happy holiday.